nobody stopping my shine. They try to break me, try to take me out, but I got Jesus on my side.
Hello, everyone. It's your host, Maria Duenas with the Entrepreneur Soiree. And today I'm super excited to have my beautiful friend, Candice Bar with Luxe Media CEOs. And hi, Candice. And I just can't wait to have her share her story. For those of you that know, for the last couple of months, I started my show, and it's all thanks to this amazing young woman that we have right here on the other side of the screen, who actually gave me the opportunity to jump on board with Luxe Media CEOs. And here we are. I'm on the other side now. I get to interview her, and I'm super excited for her to share her story. Thank you so much, Candice, for taking the time to join our show today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I haven't been interviewed in such a long time.
Well, it was about time, Candice. I was going through my list and I was like, you know what? I have not interviewed her, and it's definitely time for you to let everyone know who Candice Bar is, who is the amazing entrepreneur behind Luxe Media CEOs. So Candice, tell us, how did all of this start with you? Like, what were you doing before Luxe Media?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. So, I like to say I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. I come from a family of entrepreneurs or, small business owners. My great-grandparents were small business owners. My grandparents, my parents. So it was kind of, ingrained in me. Not this particular type of company, but I would say, it was kind of ingrained, like whatever you do, you're going to be owning it. Like you're going to be running the show here. So I started in PR, which I still do. We still do PR. I've been doing PR for the last 18 years, which I can't believe it's been that long.
Wow.
And then that morphed into, it really is about, I'm in the exposure business. I'm in the attention business. And so it's getting entrepreneurs, particularly female entrepreneurs, the attention that they really deserve, and proper attention. It's placing them, giving them vodcast, giving them a show, so they can talk about their genius, getting them on or in magazines, getting them, whatever their need is, getting them in front of the right eyes and ears, because honestly, all exposure is good exposure.
Absolutely. And I remember when, we originally started talking and you're like, well, who's doing your PR? And I was like, well, and I raised my hand. I was like, well, I am. And we all know how that goes. Me personally, as a business owner, as much as I want to do everything, God knows that I can't. So, you came in at the perfect time when I met you, and I told you, I was like, this is, I think, what we were looking for a long time, but because we didn't know, that, we had to look in that direction. So you just came and, you've been such a blessing. You've been able to help us and expose, delish events. So I'm grateful for that. So thank you so much, Candice.
Of course. And you are so lovely to work with. I would say you and your husband, and you guys are super lovely to work with. Great couple. It's so enjoyable working with you guys because, as you know, as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you may not you're not going to like or love all your clients.
No, you're not. And we try to, we may not, but we're going to do our very best to try to help everyone, in the best way possible. And sometimes we have to be comfortable saying, we're not meant to be together and working together. So we may not be the right fit for you. We wish you all the best. But Candice, what were you doing, before you started Luxe Media? I know you said your family, you have a history of entrepreneurship, but what exactly were you doing? Like, what other jobs did you have? And then you said, you know what, I'm done working for someone else. I'm just going to go for it and do this for myself.
Oh, geez. So, clearly when your parents are business owners, I think it's a typical story that you're probably working in your parents' shop, helping out your parents, doing something along those lines here. And that kind of, gets ingrained in you, whether you know that or not. And so then, really young age, I had a bunch of kiosks in the middle of several malls on the East. I'm from the East Coast. So I had a bunch of those with one of my ex-husbands for a while, and we were really young. And that taught me a lot, actually. That taught me management skills very quickly, how to hire, how to fire, how to set up, how to tear down, how to deal with customers, deal with issues. Like it's so many different things. I hated it. It was awful, but it taught me a lot.
And absolutely. And when
Go ahead.
you're definitely the one that has to be, as a new business owner, obviously you have to put in the long hours, and it's not all glamorous. Like everyone thinks like, oh, we're going to start our business and now, we work for ourselves and now we don't have to put in the time. No, it's quite the opposite.
That particular type of business, that was crazy. That's how I knew I could probably outwork anyone, because you're working 14, 16-hour days. Even if you're even if you're deadly sick, which this did happen to me, your ass is getting up, you're getting out. Like, you need to do it. Like, it is on you. It's no one else is going to do it. So it really made my work ethic very high. And so though at the time I really, really hated it, it really did serve its purpose later in life.
So would you say that after you had your business from the kiosk, industry machine in the malls and everything, and then did Lux come right after that, or did we still have other jobs? Like, I really want to know how this happened.
It's a very good question. So when I was at one of the kiosks, I was actually in Massachusetts at the time, training a new employee. And this woman, I can remember the day that I met her very clearly, came up to my kiosk, and she had red hair and blue eyes, and she was with Mary Kay. And she was
Mary Kay. Everyone knows Mary Kay, girl. I used to sell it too. Yes.
So she was trying to sell me. She was trying to recruit me. And at first I knew of Mary Kay. I didn't know the ins and outs of it. Because my best friend's mom growing up used to also sell Mary Kay. So
Got it.
She was trying to recruit me. And I was giving, I'm tough now. I was tough then. I was tough. And I said, I kind of made her work for it. And I said, listen, I kind of kept pushing her off, being nice, but kind of like not really dealing with her. And I said, listen, as you can see, it was around Christmas. So we were slammed. I'm like, if you come back in 2 weeks on Friday, I will, whatever this kit is you want me to purchase or sign up for. The
miracle kit?
No, the bag to do Mary Kay, the consulting bag.
Yes,
I will buy this consulting bag. And so so she could stop bothering me. So that happened. I forgot about it. She came back. I did it. I'm a person of my word. I always have been. That's how you successful in business. Be a person of your word.
Yes.
And you know what? That was a big catalyst for a lot of things that you see today. That taught me a lot about customer service. Like Mary Kay, even if it's not your life mission or life driver, I would suggest it or something like it for people who want to get into the entrepreneur world, because you are creating your own revenue, your own income. And it does teach you a lot. So this person not only became my mentor in Mary Kay, but she became my mentor in life. She taught me very young about energy and mindset. Like, I was 19 at the time. Energy, mindset, visualization, vision board. She was teaching me a lot of stuff outside of Mary Kay. And it really positioned me in life to be where we are right now. So then I moved to California, and I continued doing Mary Kay in California. And then through networking groups, I had to go. I'm like, how do you people over here create business?
Like, how do you do it? Yes.
Because business in California and doing business on the East Coast is very, very different.
Very different.
So I actually had to learn. It's almost like learning a different language, to be honest. So I had to learn a different language, how you guys do it over here. And someone suggested going to networking groups. I said, what the hell is a networking group? And I found one online. I went to the closest one near my house at the time. I was 20 at the time.
Oh my gosh.
I went to the group, and I just, I'm an observer by nature. So I was just sitting back, I was watching, and I remember thinking, I'm like, I don't know how this is supposed to look like. And I was definitely the
what
youngest.
am I supposed to be doing?
Not even, not even that actually. I remember looking back, I can tell you what I was wearing that day. And it was I was definitely the youngest one in the group for sure. For sure. And I just remember thinking, I'm not sure what this is supposed to look like, but I know I can do this better. I'm not sure where this came. And I didn't know anyone in California. I just moved here.
Wow.
So, and it's kind of a long story, but I will circle around to the point.
That's okay.
So I was like, I'm just going to create my own. I don't know where this came from. I'm like, I'm just going to create my own. So I'm like, well, I don't know anyone. And females
are my like, how do I start? Who do I call?
And females are my clientele for Mary Kay. That's essentially what I was networking at the time.
Absolutely.
So I was like, well, where can I get a bunch of female entrepreneurs? So at the time, Trader Joe's had the cork board with business cards on it.
That's
so
right. Yes.
Go to Trader Joe's. If that card had a woman's name on it, it was coming home with me. So I took down like 4, I don't care what she was in, took down a bunch of business cards.
Yes.
Took down a bunch of business cards, cold called it. And I was like, very nervous too. It's like,
absolutely.
I don't know. You're young. You're like, you don't know what the hell's going on. And I think most of the time it's better you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and definitely stepping out of your comfort zone, you should say, because not only were you just here from a different state, here you are trying to start a business of your own. And you're like, well, usually what we do, we can call, our sister, our friends, our neighbor, and no one really knows you. So how do they really even know that you're someone people can trust to begin with? Right.
That's where confidence comes in, right? You don't have to know all the information. You just have to be confident.
Yeah.
So I called all the cards. Like I went down every single card. And finally somebody answered. And I said, hi. I said, my name's Candice. Like this came out of somewhere else. My name's Candice Bar. My name's Candice Bar. I am putting together a female networking group. We're meeting, I think it was like next Thursday at 6 p.m. We don't have anyone in your business in the group yet. Would you like to join us? And I did that every single card and people showed up. And we did it once a month. So I was then getting skincare clients and people were networking.
Perfect.
So I was like, And I just knew Yes. And then I was like, you know what? I really enjoy networking and putting people together more than I was enjoying the business. So then that's when I started doing the networking. I had, at one point I had 12 networking groups going at one time. That's when I started doing that as a business. And then that's where PR came from, because I noticed that a lot of business owners would show up, but they weren't very social and they didn't really know how to talk about themselves in a proper way to get business. But I was like, oh, I can do that. Like I'm watching, I'm an observer. I'm watching. And then that's kind of where PR came from. And people were reaching out to me, asking me to connect them for them. And then it grew and grew. Then it goes, statewide. Then we went national. Then we went international. Then it was like, the levels go higher and higher and higher and higher. That's where the PR came from. Then it kind of bled into like,
let me interrupt you real quick. Let me interrupt you. And the caliber of people that you're probably now connecting with are probably at a much greater level. So, that's pretty huge and amazing too, Candice.
Well, you got to build and, hopefully you're growing here. Cause if you're not growing, there's a problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. But truth be told, that's not everyone's story, Candice. There's people that probably start and, they're still, 5 years into their business and haven't seen much growth or still struggling to kind of get it off the ground. So, it's safe to say you definitely knew exactly what you were doing and you were working all your talents in your favor to be able to move up the ladder quickly in your business.
Yes, and I will say, I've been very blessed throughout my life. Clearly have ups and downs like everybody else, but I've been very
course.
blessed. I think that when you are on your life purpose and life path, things get cleared away for you, and you're placed in front of people and places that you need to be placed at, and
Absolutely.
you need to be open to that.
Yes, always be open. And that's one thing that I have learned. And I think going through the pandemic, as we all experienced, that was something that I learned through that, because you have to be willing to adjust, adapt, and then be willing to let go of things that are no longer, serving a purpose for you, so that new opportunities can actually come in. And like you said, you never know who's going to come next, who you're going to meet, and who's going to take you to that next level in your business or your life. It doesn't always have to be business.
Right. When you're ready to level up, like when you no longer accept mediocrity or where you currently are, maybe where you currently are, you feel good about it. There's always higher levels going on. There's always different people doing different things. You have to be open to the flow. You got to be in the flow. When you're not in the flow, you're stagnant, and that's when things die.
Yes. And that's when it can be dangerous. Yes, absolutely.
Completely. Like the biggest killer for an entrepreneur is to be stagnant.
Yes, I agree. And I agree with you 100%. And that's kind of where I guess, sometimes we have those challenges, because even I, experienced that. And then you have to kind of like talk to yourself, and you have to have your mentors, whether they're online, in person, it doesn't matter, but you have to have other people feeding you other thoughts, and for you to know that there's other things outside of your, a 5-mile radius, 10-mile radius that you could potentially be benefiting from, and also helping others at the same time.
And you touched on, it's such a great topic. You touched on mentorship. Your mentor will probably change as you grow, and that's okay. I had the Mary Kay mentor. She was in my life. She passed away this year. She was in my life that entire time. She was not my active mentor that entire time, but it's someone I kept in my life, and I was bouncing ideas off her throughout. I mean, I met her when I was 19. I'm 38 now. She was in my life for a very long time. This is a very important person to me.
Yeah.
But I also had different mentors throughout my journey. I still have mentors throughout my career that you
have to.
You pay them, you purchase them because you want their, and you're purchasing energy and knowledge here, and that's invaluable.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people, and I feel that I've come across a lot of the times where you're afraid or not sure, and they're hesitant to spend money on themselves. And I'm thinking, well, if you can't spend money on yourself, which is the number one person who's going to keep your business alive or dead, then you probably shouldn't be doing this, because you don't have all the great ideas. You don't know everything. And there's someone else out there that can take you, to that other person that you've been wanting to do business with, or just simply make that connection, which is something that you're amazing at, and which is what you do.
Yeah, you have to, again, your mindset, most people's mindset is really
Yes.
terrible. And I mean that in the nicest way.
I have to agree, because I had that mindset too, probably at the beginning when I started, you know what I mean? But you have to evolve. You have to change. Everything needs to be changed.
There's something I heard, I'll never forget it. It was the best definition of the word entrepreneur I've ever heard in my life. And it's from my friend Mark. And I'll always give him credit for this. The definition of an entrepreneur is this: the bearer of risk. If you cannot bear risk, and at high levels that are wildly uncomfortable, then you should not be calling yourself an entrepreneur.
No. I've never heard that definition before, but thank you so much for sharing it. But it is so true, because every day is a risk. Every day, like I'll use myself an example. And when I tell my friends, because I've had that corporate job, like the 9 to 5, I've had that, you know what I mean? And I still, will give my heart to it and everything that I'm supposed to do to be able to maintain it. But at the end of the day, that's like a safety net for everyone that has a 9 to 5 or whatever, because at the end of the day, whether you perform or not, most likely you're going to end up getting a paycheck. Now, when you're an entrepreneur, if you're not out there hustling, you're not eating. And that's how I look at it. I always get asked this, how do you do it? Isn't it scary? Hell yeah, it is, because now I have 2 kids that I need to feed. And if I'm not working, they're not eating. I mean, granted, we do have you know what I mean? We have my husband who, has a steady job and he's stable and he's good and he's doing his thing. But at the end of the day, I can't be relying on him just to be like the breadwinner 100%, because there's still stuff that I need to do as a human being, or my purpose here in life, just regardless.
And here are the facts. The facts of this: nothing's guaranteed to anyone. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, you're an employee. Things can change in a second. There's a million people in the world that can tell you stories about that changing in a second. You have to be able, and not everyone's an entrepreneur. I say it, I've been saying it for years. Not everyone's an entrepreneur. Not everyone's an employee, and that's all okay. But if you're going to choose the entrepreneur route, you got to have thick skin. If you don't have it, you got to create it quickly. You got to have thick skin. You get kicked in the junk on a daily basis, several times a day. You get things thrown at you that you did not plan for, because you're not going to be planning for a lot of stuff. You got to figure it out. Figure it out and figure it out quick.
Yes. And that's something that I have to agree with you 100%, because at the end of the day, everything is going to happen to you. Like you said, stuff that isn't always good. And you can't just be like, sitting, waiting for someone to come and resolve it. Like, you have to think quick. People are going to tell you, we don't like you. The girl next door has a better product than you. The girl across the street, has a cheaper price than you. Sorry. Thank you. We don't like you. You're too tall, too short. Your skin's too dark. All of that. And imagine if, we just stay put and then we won't do anything. If we let all of that outside noise, we'll be paralyzed.
You cannot allow other people to determine your success or where you're going to go. There is, 9 billion, maybe probably more people in the world.
More now.
Move on. That's where, especially as female entrepreneurs, emotional stability, putting things in compartments, putting your feelings in compartments, getting the thing done, get the thing done, then go home and cry hysterically by yourself later on. Do the thing to get to the thing.
Yes, that is very true. And I'd have to admit, because a lot of the times, especially us women, you'd have to agree, we're always very emotional and we take everything personal, right? Everything is personal. But something that I did learn from my former boss, where I started my hospitality journey, is that he said, nothing is personal.
Can't be personal.
Everything is just
strictly business.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. It can't be personal. You got to be able to move on quick.
But believe it or not, it took a while for it to sink in. And it's not something that you just listen to and you're like, it's not personal. It's not about me. It's about them. No, because we're not conditioned that way, right?
Yes.
We have our feelings and people hurt them all the time. So I get it. Oh my goodness, Candice.
Well, it's not just females. So the ladies listening, don't think because men can be emotional as well.
Yeah. And exactly. And absolutely. Absolutely. But listen, because we all know that being an entrepreneur, is not all glamorous. Like sometimes, we make it seem, and we always highlight, I always say, I like to highlight the good stuff. I don't really like to focus on the bad, the negative. It is what it is. Give it the attention it deserves, like you said, and then we move on. But what would you say are some struggles that you have faced throughout the years? Because obviously you started small, but now you're just up here, and you have a lot of other brands under, Luxe Enterprise. So what would you say are some of the challenges that you have faced, and how have you overcome them?
Man, when you're dealing with people, which most people, if you're in business, you rely on people. It's either you're selling a product, you're selling a service, you're selling something here. And so it's dealing with other people, you're dealing with not only your emotions and stuff, but you're dealing with their emotions and stuff too. And if you're not good at that, you got to get good at it. And so not clashing with people just because you're being emotional, they're being emotional. You have to be able to deal with other people's stuff and be pretty neutral depending on what's going on here. As an entrepreneur, I always say this, we're always on the edge. You're always on edge. So it's that edge can go this way sometimes. It can go this way sometimes. You're on the ups, you're on the downs. So what have been some challenges? Growing business, can be challenging. Finding the right people to help support the vision where you're going, getting a great team, getting a good staff, getting the people that people are relying on you for a paycheck here. So it's like getting the right people that can do what you are providing and, not only do what you need them to do, but are happy to do it, lovely to deal with. Having a great team for me was always very important. I always wanted to keep it small but mighty. We have accomplished that, but I've definitely gone through some individuals to get there. Absolutely.
Exactly, because you're not always going to find the perfect person like right at first hand. And that's something that I have, and I have to agree with you, because even just us right now, when we're we outsource a lot of our staff like the day of the event. So we really don't have a huge overhead, but we do have, a small team just like you. But when it comes to like the larger events and we're trying to outsource staff, and you have people that are just like, and I can't tell you how many times we get DMs. We'd love to work with you. We'd love to work with you. How can we get to work with you? And you finally give those people the opportunity. And then there's like a list of things that I can't do this. I can't work on this day or blah, blah, blah. And I'm just thinking, well, what did you expect? I mean, what were you thinking?
It's like, I want to work with you, but I don't actually want to work.
Exactly. So just even that alone I'm sure it's been a challenge for you, just because like I can tell you that I've experienced it firsthand, and just not having the right people can kind of slow you down, or those people are going to be the ones to take your company, by the hand and grow it for you while you're out there doing, the legwork and the harder stuff.
Absolutely.
But if
and
you don't have
also
the right
share
team,
too, it's like you said earlier, it's not glitz and glamour, and it's not. And also it doesn't suck all the time either. But I do want to highlight the excessive work it does take to build a company, the brand. There's one that, before we had the studio and before, all this other stuff, like I had all the really nice, like luxury. I had the Birkins. I had several Birkins, red bottom, like all this stuff. And you're selling that stuff to create the vision that you want. Like, you cannot be attached to things for the greater outcome. You have to look at the end result, what you're looking for here. So I'm saying that because it's like, you're selling some jewelry, or you're doing, like, if it comes down to that, you got to be prepared to do that.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And I guess they want to have that big vision, the bigger picture, but they don't see that there's sacrifices in between.
Oh, yeah.
Like an example, like, if you got to get rid of the bag, then you got to get rid of the bag, because the bag is not going to bring you that lifestyle that you want in the future. And I do feel that it's like we talked about earlier, it's the mindset. If you are stuck on a certain way and you're not going to be flexible or willing to learn or hear from other people that are, living the life that you want, then, then you're probably not going to get far.
I heard something a long time ago, and I was like, I completely subscribe to that thought process. If you cannot buy it twice, you shouldn't have it once.
I just heard that. I think Dave Ramsey said something like that. If I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
but I've heard that quote before. Yes,
I think people have recycled it, but
yes.
You can't be. I'm not like, and it took a couple of years to get like that. You cannot be attached to things like your vision. Example, your vision. Like, I wanted to build out this studio on Rodeo Drive. We did that, but that did come with sacrifice. That just wasn't just like la-di-da. It wasn't cheap, and it wasn't easy to do. So you need to be able, is that thing important enough to you to sacrifice the short-term thing for the long-term thing? And yeah, it was. Yes. Absolutely. I do not regret any, like, I never regret anything, because you know why? I'd rather do it than not do it at all.
Exactly. And most likely, even if it didn't go as planned, you probably learned something, and you met awesome people along the way, which you probably wouldn't have had you not done that.
Being an entrepreneur is it's a highly creative space. You're a business person, yes, but it's really, entrepreneurship is creative. It's to constantly create, redo, shift, mold. You're constantly going, and where you're going right now, the direction you're going right now may not be the direction you're going to be in 5 years. That may mold into something else, and that's okay. You're allowed to do that.
Absolutely. I always say, like, you're not married to it. It's okay. And people always feel like, well, if I start this, like, I mean, I love it now, but am I going to love it, like you said, 10 years from now? And I don't want to be forced. No, because at the end of the day, you do it for the time that you feel still passionate about, because I do believe you have to do what you love. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable every single day, and it's going to feel like an obligation. So then that can lead into something else. That doesn't mean like you failed at your first attempt. No, that means like that just took you a different direction, and you're still growing, you're still evolving. So
Absolutely.
it's all
like, you're able to build a company, build a business, and if you no longer have a passion, desire for it, guess what? You get to sell that. That's a real thing. Get to sell that. Something else over here. You're allowed to do several things. You can really do what you want to do. That's the fun part of entrepreneurship, opposed to being, example, an employee. When you're an employee, you are kind of stuck in this thing. When you're an entrepreneur, you're able to do whatever you want.
You get to be creative. And I love that. I think that's what it is. Like you have no limit to your creativity. So it's pretty awesome. So tell us, what else do you have planned for Luxe?
So we've been mobile for several months now. So we're fully mobile, which I'm so excited about, because I have a gypsy spirit. I got to tell you, I've always been on the phone.
I know that from the minute I met you, Candice. I knew that. Like, I knew that Candice is the girl that grabs her bag and goes. I remember telling my husband, I go, you know what? She's not someone that's like stationed. She's just like, she'll grab her bag and go.
That is my life. That's always been my life. Going mobile for us, me and the team, that makes my heart happy. It really does. So everything is, as normal. We do the vodcast, we do the podcast, we still are doing the magazine, which I'm so excited about. I know you're going to be not this issue coming out this week, but our next issue, I'm so excited to share that with you.
Yes,
again, it's all creative. It's creative. It's everything I was just saying. It's, it's creative. It's getting exposure for the females. It's, making help. We're still doing all the same things, PR, all this stuff. The thing that's coming up soon is we're having our 3rd annual Women of Achievement event on Monday.
That's right.
So that's coming up. Which you're speaking on that, which we're so excited.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you nervous?
You know what? I am. And I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? We're going to do it. We're going to go for it. And may God be with us. That's it. And that's all.
You know what? Like you're saying, you gotta get uncomfortable, right? So
yes, you have to.
You're going to do great. You always do great.
Thank you.
Do great.
I always tell you, Candice, I'm nervous. And you're like, that was fine. Yeah. But now, I used to do, back in the day when I had recently graduated college, I used to do these parenting classes at the local church for the nonprofit that I was working at. And I would always, speak in front of parents and in front of crowds and everything. But it's been years since I did that, Candice. So I do have to admit, I am a little nervous.
That's okay.
So I'm just...
That's okay. It's going to be we're honoring female entrepreneurship here. So it is mostly, it's all females speaking.
Of course.
It's mostly females in the audience. We do have a few good men. Actually, this year we have, I would say, 2 handfuls of men in the audience.
Okay.
Not even necessarily the husband or boyfriend of somebody, that they're just attending, because those are smart men. They know where to be.
Exactly right. Especially if they're looking for a lady.
So we have some great ladies. We're awarding some really cool female entrepreneurs. We have some great female entrepreneur speakers. The red carpet, we got the whole thing going on.
I love it.
And it's just, every year, as you know, you're an event planner, right before the event, you're like, oh God, why am I doing this? It is stressful. Yeah. After it's done, everyone had such a great time. You're like, okay, like that fuels you.
Exactly. And to know that you're going to bring a whole bunch of amazing women just under, one roof, and everyone gets to meet each other, because obviously, truth be told, a lot of us probably don't know, who's attending, and we're going to walk away meeting new people, possibly new business opportunities. You just never know. And we need to be open for that, excited for that, and go in with the right mindset, and just go and enjoy ourselves and have a great time. That's the whole point of bringing people together.
Yeah. And it does, I created it 3 years ago because I just noticed, I'm like, again, observing, just noticed there's a huge hole. Females, especially also in the entrepreneur world, we can name very easily 10 very well-known male entrepreneurs.
Yes.
But I still can't for females. Can you?
No, not 10, but I get it. And that's something that I love about your product, is that you welcome men too, but mostly you're targeting everything towards women, to helping each other, to build a strong network of strong entrepreneurial women, which I believe is very important because, truth be told, like when back in the day when you probably started the networking or you were attending networking events, you would see that it was mainly men. Yes. And I noticed that even like, let's just say 15 years ago, when I got into the industry, where I would have to go to these mixers and these breakfast meetings and things like that, but everyone around there was probably a man standing in the room. And then you did feel kind of like intimidated, like, are they looking at me funny? Or like, am I going to fit in, or am I going to walk away with their business card? Will they even give me a piece of their, business because I'm a woman? So that's awesome. You're definitely
really funny. I'll share something really funny with you that I actually forgot about, and a lot of people don't even know. So when I used to network before they were my own groups, I was so shy because I'm naturally an introvert, and I still am. I was so shy to stand up, and you know how you typically stand up and give your 20 seconds.
Yes.
Whatever. While you're there.
Yeah.
I was so shy that I made sure like three people ahead of me, I would go to the restroom. So by the time they got to my chair, they'd have to pass over me.
I so did that too. I get it. I know. But I would do the same thing. Like I would start calculating like who's going to go first, or if they would say like a representative from the table can speak up or whatever. I'm like, I have nothing to say.
Now, because, we're in media for goodness sakes. So like we do shows, like you're out there a lot. Like you get used to it. So I bring up that point because even if you're not comfortable doing all those things, which it's actually not a really comfortable experience, especially if you're an introvert, you do the action anyway. You do the action anyway, because if I didn't do those actions, we wouldn't be talking today.
Absolutely. Yep. And I agree. And if I didn't step out of my comfort zone, I wouldn't be here in front of you today either. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Candice. Now, where can our viewers find more about you? Give us your social media.
Check out, Luxe Media. We're all over social media. So Instagram, I love Instagram. So, I think it's Candice Bar, my personal one. And then we have Luxe Media Studios, I think Luxe Media Official, Luxe Life Magazine.
Yes.
You can definitely find us.
I'm sure we can. Candice, thank you so much for your time, and we will see you next time, and see you on Monday, actually.
I'll see you on Monday. Bye, guys.
Yes. Bye.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.